Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is hadith number 19 and the final lesson from the lost lessons of daily hadith. And this is, you will not enter Jannah based on your actions. All right, and we talked about, this is actually the last hadith that I mentioned in the last khutbah, right? What's the hadith? You know it? I'm asking you now because you don't have a book, so, now's a good chance you don't remember the hadith. Huh? But why is it that we won't enter? We do all these righteous actions, right? You get up, you pray in the masjid, you read Quran, maybe you fast in Ramadan, and you try to do extra acts of good, So why is it that we won't go to Jannah based on our actions? What are we doing all these actions for? Huh? No. I'm doing it, like let's say, for example, we're doing these actions for the pleasure of Allah. We live in a time right now, you don't get praise for doing these actions. You get broke. People look at you like you're crazy. Like if you spend all your time trying to worship Allah and learn the deen, the people look at you like you're crazy. Like you're wasting your life away nowadays. You don't get praise nowadays for that. So you're doing the actions for Allah. But what would cause your action? Like, why can't we go to Jannah with our actions? It's only by the mercy of Allah. Yeah, it's only by the mercy and the tawfiq from Allah that you do those actions in the first place. Because you might want to stand up at night. All right? You go to sleep. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not return your soul to your body in time for you to get up at night and pray, you're not going to do it. So all of this is all, with Allah. The tawfiq was with Allah. And that's why we have to constantly, with our actions, we have to seek His assistance. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the tawfiq to do these actions and facilitating them for us and making it easy for us to do these actions, then that fadl goes back to Allah, not to us. We're just, we're doing, alhamdulillah, we're going, but not saying that you don't get rewarded for your actions, but the fadl goes back to Allah for these actions, right? So if we are going to go to Jannah, what are we going to go to Jannah based on? Our actions? What? The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what this hadith is going over. So this is an Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu qala qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qaribu wa saddidu wa'alamu annahu lan yanjuwa ahadun minkum bi'amali qala wala anta ya Rasulullah qala wala ana illa an yataghammadani Allahu bi rahmatin minhu wa fadl rawahu Muslim. So here Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, he reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Qaribu wa saddidu." All right. So qaribu means what? As many times have we gone over this hadith in different times, you can't remember. Maybe your memory doesn't work in English, so I gotta explain it out of it. Qaribu, it means to get as close as you can to the target that you're trying to get to. So when you're doing an action, you perfect that action to the best of as close to perfection as you can. Saddidu is the perfection. Qaribu wa saddidu. So either one, you do what? You hit the target, perfect, bullseye, you get it correct. Or two, if you don't get the bullseye, what? You get somewhere close to it, but you're not way off, not even hitting the target at all, No, you're somewhere close to that target. So again, you stand up, you were commanded to stand up and pray. You can't stand up because you have problems with your knees, problems with your back. So what do? You sit down. Now, saddidu would be standing up. Qaribu is what? Let's sit down because you're getting as close as you can to doing to perfection based on your capabilities. All right. So the person who's old, he can't fast because he's just old and he's like his body's weak, and he fears that maybe if he fasts, he might not be here tomorrow. All right. So what does he do? He feeds a poor person for every day that he doesn't fast, right? So qaribu, the person who's fasting and doing things correctly, saddidu. But even the person who's fasting, you got to stay away from things. You got to stay away from his desires. You got to stay away from looking at the females in the supermarket. You got to, a lot of things you got to stay away from to perfect his fasting. And he does that to the best of his capability. So every action that he carries out, he tries to perfect it. If you can't perfect it, at least get as close to perfection as you can. And then he said after that, he said, وَاعْلَمُوا and know, أَنَّهُ لَنْ يَنْجُوَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْكُمْ بِعَمَلِهِ that nobody from amongst you will be saved based alone on his actions, based on his actions alone. And then the Sahaba said, قَالُوا وَلَا أَنْتَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ even you, O Messenger of Allah. This is the same case for you. Because, nobody's carrying out more actions of khair, of good than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? وَلَا أَنْتَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ and he said, قَالَ وَلَا أَنَا and even me, I will not go into Jannah based on my actions alone. He said, إِلَّا أَن يَتَغَمَّدَنِي اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلٍ and only if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will completely, cover me and encompass me with his mercy and his bounties. So it's only because this is, again, Islam is a ni'mah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this blessing. But what are we going to do with it? Are we going to do right with it? Are we going to go into this deen and do this deen the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to do it? Or we're going to go into this deen and just do it the way we want to do it? So again, it's a blessing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the one that's taken us out of darkness and brought us into this light. Whereas if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to leave us, go back and look at your friends that you knew when you were growing up. All right, where are they now? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But what was that place that they were in? Yeah, smoking weed, drinking, chasing after some dirty female in the streets. Each dude probably done something with her, but he's so happy today that he's the one that got her. And you see like all this foolishness that the people have to go through, and then just like the highlight of his day is just sitting out and just hanging out and just doing nothing, drinking beer, smoking, and just talking about foolishness. And that's darkness, akhi. That's darkness. And the person that lives his life like that, and he thinks like, wow, this like I'm really living life. This is, you don't think like what brought a lot of people to Islam was that the people they started that life depressed them, and they're like, nah, man, this ain't it. This can't be it. This like this type of life. This, what I'm saying. A lot of us, what started to wake us up is getting locked up. Not that, because I know some people, they become Muslim when they get locked up. I became Muslim and then got locked up. But the point is that when I got locked up, I started to realize what? Nobody's writing. Nobody's visiting. All these people that I was like doing all this stuff for in the streets, where are they at now? They're not accepting collect calls. They're not visiting. They're not writing. Nothing. They won't even call my mother and say hello. I remember the first time that I went to jail, who came to my house to visit my mother to see how I was doing? The police officer that arrested me. He came and said, how's he doing? What's going on with the situation? Because I had turned myself in for a shooting, and he was shocked that I did that. And, and I was like, cool with him, So there was like, so he went and he, when my mother told him that, they certified him as an adult, they sent him to the county jail. I was 17 at the time, just turned 17. He said, what? The police officer. My friends don't even know what's going on. They don't even know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine that. Imagine like, this type of feeling of loneliness. And then you realize, man, these people are phony as all outdoors, man. Well, no, actually outdoors is pretty real. But you know what I'm saying? Phony is something on TV, something like that, But, and then it wakes you up because you realize, man, I'm living my life for what? For these jokers, for these people that don't care about me. Whenever I'm going through, like, they want to have fun with you when the times are good, but now when you're going through a hard time and they're not, and they look at you like you're a plague, get away from me. So Allah musta'an, that's like certain things that wake people up. Other people, they get woken up because they get attached to something from the dunya, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala snatches that thing away from them. Snatches it away from them. Whether that be a family, a girl, a lot of the times it's, he falls in love with this girl, but she doesn't have the same feeling, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the love out of her heart, and bam, now he's just in pain and suffering. But this is the problem. A lot of the people, when they're going through this pain and suffering, and then they come into Islam, they feel happiness, right? They get that happiness back. But then, what do most of the Muslims do when they get that happiness back? They go right back to the same thing that caused them the depression in the first place. Then they get depressed again. They realize, wait, this is what I came to Islam for in the first place. So let me get back in the masjid so I can get the happiness back. He gets his life back together. Maybe he was on drugs. He starts to get off of drugs. You can start to see the light come back in his face, and you can start to see he's a different person. And then as soon as he gets it back together, he sets out on a self-destruction thing again. And this is the majority of the people. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spared you, gave you Islam, brought you out of that darkness, and gave you the ability to continuously do those good actions and stay away from that stuff that causes him displeasure, then what? That's a huge ni'mah. That's a mercy. That's a mercy from Allah for you. Because if you look at the lives, when you're looking from the outside and you look at the people like that you knew, like most of the people that let me see, the people that aren't dead right now and not in prison, their lives are bad. I don't know of anybody that I knew when I was growing up that I can honestly say, wow, not even on a dunya standard. I'm not even talking about a deen. I'm not talking about deen. I'm saying just dunya, where I can look at somebody that I grew up with and said, you really did it. Like, you made it. No, nobody. Their lives, bad, horrible, depressing. They're on drugs. They got mental illnesses. That, like, dude get up on Facebook like once every 2 weeks talking about how he wants to kill himself. I mean, these are the people that remain. The other guys locked up in prison for life, 30 years, 40 years. Life's gone. Some of these guys, they were in prison from the time they're 16, got 50 years at 16 years old. Some got life. I knew one kid, 16 years old, they put him on death row. And then they ended up changing his sentence because he was a juvenile. And they said that punishment was too strong. So they gave him life without parole. At 16 years old, his life's gone. What did he live for? You think people are like right now writing them letters and all this? This is a life of depression. That's darkness. So if Allah spared you from that, and gave you this deen, that is a mercy. And you doing the things that you have to do, praying, fasting, and doing all this, what are you doing? You're doing your best to repay Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this favor that He's given you. And you'll never repay it. You're always going to be in debt to Allah. So that's why no matter what you do from amongst your actions, no matter what actions you do, you can fast every day. You can read Quran every day. Wallahi, right now, show me a blessing that you have in your life right now, or some action that you do that's greater than the blessing of your eyesight. Imagine that. Imagine right now, if you had everything in the dunya, and they, or somebody came up to you and said, look, I'll give you $50 million, just poke your eyes out. Would you do that? So that means that your eyesight is worth more than $50 million, right? It's worth more than that. You're carrying this blessing, but you don't look at it like that. You're always focusing on the things that you don't have, but you don't look at all the blessings. Just for us, to get up and be able to work and to do the things that takes ability. That takes, depends on the type of work that you do, right? Whether it's labor or whether it's, office work or whatever, it's something mental. But it takes, whether it's physical labor or mental labor, it's going to take some type of labor, right? But what if Allah took that ability away from you? What about you grew up, your whole life has just been a physical laborer, and then something happens now and you can't work no more. So what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? So just imagine that blessing, just that blessing alone. And you can't repay that, akhi. You can't repay eyesight. You can't repay a sound mind. A sound mind where you can listen to things and be like, that's right, that's wrong. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you to have a sound mind. And look, you want to understand the blessing of the sound mind? Come out here at 3 o'clock in the morning and look at the guys yelling at themselves and shadow boxing with ghosts, and you know what I'm saying? Look at these crazy people walk, or even go down to the gas station right now. you're going to see a lot of unsound minds, right? Every single morning. You just go to the gas station at night or early morning, you're going to see a lot to be thankful for. So we'll never be able to repay Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these blessings. So the only way that we can go to Jannah is what? Through His mercy. The same way that we came into this deen with His mercy, the same way that we're going to go into His Jannah with His mercy, because we never repay Him. We try. Some of us try. Like most of us don't. But, I would say that we don't try, but the effort differs from person to person. Some people, they really, really put in the effort to thank in Allah, even though they know that they'll never be able to do it. And then some people, they put that, what we can call in the South, I ain't going to say what we call it in the South, but the half backside effort, where you only put half of yourself into it. But Allah musta'an. But we all got to realize that it's a serious thing. It's only with the mercy of Allah. And again, that's what the khutbah was about, right? That mercy doesn't come for free. You got to work for it. So even that mercy, you got to work for it. It's not just going to be handed out to you. Allah musta'an. وإلهنا سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك